Well, she started out as a merchant ship. The owner was Oliver Williams. He was a merchantman that had his store in Fort Detroit. And he used to wait 4 months, 3 to 4 months for his goods to arrive from the East Coast to get to Fort Detroit. And he was thinking that since he's on the water, why not have a ship built for him? And so he commissioned the vessel to be built off the River Rouge in Detroit in 1810. She was finished and put into service. First season was 1811 as a merchant ship. Her normal route was between Buffalo and Fort Detroit, but she also transported goods and services up Lake Huron, down Lake Michigan. So basically her key waters for the Great Lakes were Lakes Michigan, Lake Huron, and Lake Erie. And she was a merchant ship from the beginning until the fateful day, July 17, 1812. The crew of the Friends Goodwill knew that there were a rumor of war with Great Britain, but they had not heard word after leaving Fort Dearborn, which is now the city of Chicago, July 11, 1812, with a load of very valuable furs on board and other valuable cargo, heading back up, from Chicago over here, up around into heading. Their first stop was Mackinac Island, to probably sell the furs to the John Jacob Astor business there on the island, and then continuing down Lake Huron and through the other systems to Detroit. They arrived July 17, 1812 on the island, had a good 6-day passage, and they sent a guy aloft actually to spy the fort of Mackinac, make sure that the Stars and Stripes were still flying, because based on those rumors, the Stars and Stripes were flying, and so they thought all was well, but all was not well. The British had already taken over Fort Mackinac. They left the United States flag flying to lure American shipping into the harbor. They were successful in that endeavor because they already had captured an American schooner earlier that day. And then the Friends Goodwill swung into the harbor and was immediately taken over by the British. Oliver Williams and his captain William Lee were immediately taken prisoner and put on board the schooner that was captured along with the rest of the prisoners. And the schooner was then sailed back under British occupancy to Fort Detroit. And Oliver Williams never did get to see his vessel from that point forward. The British immediately changed her name to Little Belt and armed her with 3 guns. When you bring a cannon from land to onboard a ship, it's called a gun. So she carried a 9-pound swivel gun, and it's a long gun behind you here, and also 2 6-pounders, one off each bow. And then, so she served the British Navy patrolling the waters of the Great Lakes, specifically Lake Huron and Lake Erie, keeping the American ships at bay. The British were trying to take over the Great Lakes and for their own use. And then Little Belt was also put into the British ships of the line in Lake Erie, attacking Commander Oliver Hazard Perry's American fleet just over by Put-in Bay in Lake Erie. So Little Belt was a part of that battle on the British side. All went wrong for the British, thankfully. And the captain of the Friends of the Little Belt realized all was lost for the British in the battle, and so they tried to escape to southern Ontario. Records showed that the American schooner Scorpion was sent after her in hot pursuit. Winds were light that day, according to documents. The schooner Scorpion finally caught up to Little Belt, fired a shot over her bow, warning her to stop or be destroyed, surrender or be destroyed, which she acknowledged and surrendered to the American fleet, the schooner Scorpion, and she was now back in our hands again. And so she was renamed Friends Goodwill. And then 2 weeks after the Battle of Lake Erie, September 10, 1813, Friends Goodwill was involved in a massive invasion into southern Ontario, a very successful invasion by the United States. We actually conquered southern Ontario, and she was a part of that massive invasion. She was used for other purposes after that. But on the day in December 1813, she was caught in a very ferocious storm, blown ashore just south of Buffalo. They could not get her back in the water, so they're going to wait till the following season, springtime, to try to relaunch her. Unfortunately, shortly after that invasion in December, the British reinvaded the United States, and one of the cities they invaded was Buffalo, burned the city to the ground, and also noticed a small sloop aground south of the city and burned the ship to the ground, which was the Friends Goodwill. So in essence, what you're looking at here that you're standing on right now, number one, is a piece of American history involved with our Great Lakes history and our American history with the War of 1812 and the Battle of Lake Erie in 1813. But also, too, she's a phoenix bird. She's risen from the ashes once more to sail the Great Lakes again. So It's a very short history, but a very fantastic and lively one. So,
how frequently do the replicas of the Nina, the Pinta, arrive here? They were here a few years ago.
Yes, sir, they were. They are constantly traveling around, different parts of the country, our country and other countries, educating people to the Spanish caravel, which that's the type of vessel they are, which was heavily used in the past, in the 13 and 1400s. They were used for trade from Spain, Portugal, and down the western side of Africa. Because they are very, very fast, very seaworthy. Talking to Captain Morgan Sanger, who is one of the head men of the Columbus Foundation, he, they've toured over 700 ports. That's probably within the recent past. So they're constantly being touring and around educating people to the Spanish caravel and what life was like on board those ships during Columbus's time when he was discovering the Americas. It's basically South America, Central America, and in the Caribbean, the areas of the Bahamas. Columbus's ships never did land on North American continent soil. That is, that's a falsification of history. But they're incredible vessels. You need to definitely go aboard and enjoy their beauty and their history.
How close to the originals are all three ships? Okay. Yours and the two replicas.
All right. Yeah, the Friend's Goodwill, like I said, she's circa 1810, and she is as close as we can determine through documents that have been found, descriptions to the original vessel. She uses a lot of modern materials that are disguised as old materials. So she is a combination of definitely all the old techniques, but using some modern materials that are designed to look old. So she's a composite, so to speak, of old and new. But she is a wooden vessel, and what they call wood composite construction. She's built just like a wooden vessel, but instead of using metal fasteners to hold her together, she uses epoxy. And so that's the modern counterpart. Some of our rigging lines are modern man-made fabrics, but they're designed to look from that time period. Everything we do on the ship dates back to the early 1800s. All the methods we use for attaching lines and running the ship is all authentic. Even our terminology when we're sailing vessel is there. Now with the Spanish caravels, the Nina and the Pinta, they are basically as authentic as you can possibly get them. You're kind of really looking at vessels that have been transported out of time and brought to the 21st century. I can speak on the behalf of the Nina because that was my first tall ship that I served on. And as a deckhand a long time ago, actually, matter of fact, in 1993. The Nina is completely built by hand. No power tools have ever touched her hull. Even our ironwork is hand forged. And she's just an absolutely amazing vessel. And the Santa Clara is probably, or the Pinta in other words, is probably, I'm sure, built the exact same way.